You are correct, sir, but it was all melted by noon, so I don't know what the big deal was, We did have snow, Saturday morning when I got up, there was snow on the ground, but said it was all good. Like I told you last week, we here in Montana, we are only in false spring. It's only false spring. It's not really spring, okay? We've got quite a few snowfalls yet to come. Hell, it will snow till 4th of July. It will, I'm telling you. What? My brackets? What brackets? My brackets? What were you talking about brackets? What are you, brackets? What brackets? My NCAA tournament, Andy, is busted down on Bourbon Street. I got one team left. That's it. I got one team. Every year, what I try to do, I try to get tricky. You pick the long shots. Try to pick the upsets before they happen. Picking the 5 teams and maybe the 8s and the 7 seeds to lose. And every year I end up with nobody. Nobody doesn't like the boogaloo. Yes, I do. Nobody does do like the shigga-ling. Shigga-ling, bam. Yeah, this year I got Duke left. Yep, one team left in the Final Four. The Duke Blue Devils. Come on, Duke. Papa needs a new pair of shoes. Holy shit, dude. The red light's on. Red lights on. Roxanne, you don't have to put on that red light. Roxanne, red lights are rolling. We are live and wound for sound this morning, aren't we? That's what little Deep Purple and Durban Poison will do at 6 o'clock in the morning. Yep. Oh yeah, that'll open your eye up. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is Monday, March 31st, last day of March. Kind of a cold, dreary, cloudy, Monday morning. They call it Stormy Monday. It's officially spring, but you wouldn't know it by the rain and snow off and on that we're going to have all week. But that's, like I said, it's Montana. You got Central and Montana in March and April. What do you think it's going to be like? All right, Andy. Before we get any further, please give us a thumbs up. Like the podcast. It's right over here. Give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button there. Okay? Right here. And that way you'll be notified of any new content that we're doing. And you'll also have a chance to win some fabulous prizes here in the Pipewrench podcast. They are still fabulous, right? They're marvelous. We have some marvelous prizes for you. And a big shout out. Where's my prop? This is yesterday's. Yes, it is. This is a yesterday's. To our friends at the Great Falls Gazette. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by the Great Falls Gazette. Locally owned, locally operated, they're locally printed. They're all doing everything. They've got all the news that fit to print. Okay? And you know where to find them, right, Andy? We've talked about it. You go out the door, down the hall, 1 flight of 7 stairs down, and then 3 doors down. Make sure you're Going to pick up a copy today. This is yesterday's paper. They have a Tuesday, a Thursday, and a Sunday. Andy, cue it. Gonna buy 5 copies for my mother. Yeah. Gonna see my smiling face on the cover of the Great Falls Gazette. Oh yeah, we're going to see it someday. We've been singing this. We're going to keep singing this. It's like Dr. Hook. How long did it take Dr. Hook to get on the cover of the Rolling Stone? Okay? We're going to do it. Only way we're going to be is back on the back here on Crime Stoppers, America's Most Wanted. Who we got here? Isn't it the dude that used to rent next door to us? Had the what did he have? What's he? Well, he said that he had. Holy Moses! Our neighbors here, Andy. All right. Ended up on the, and we're going to end up on the back page. Remember, Andy, keep your guard up tomorrow, everybody. Tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow is April 1st, and that is April Fool's Day. And there will be no pranking or shenanigans allowed here in the studios. All right. Typically speaking, okay, our home state of the great state of Montana, it is an amazing place to live. It is the big sky country, wide open spaces. It's a safe place to call home. We're like skiing and snowmobiling, mountain biking. Yeah, it's just a great hunting, fishing, okay? It's a great way of life out here, It's the big sky, wide open spaces. That way, it's a safe place to live. It's safe. We consider it safe. It's not like, some other places. It's not dangerous where our crime rate is lower. Andy, when you say our crime rate is lower, how low can you go? All right. Or is it? Or is it as safe as we've had some characters for sure, but what about real dangerous, bona fide, you can take it to the bank, serial killers? Heck, I went to high school with one. Okay? We'll get into it, man. I've talked about it before. We're going to talk about it again. I did go to high school with a serial killer, and at the time, we knew he was, okay? But just wait, okay? Because there's more to come, all right? Just wait. Okay, let's start with, and this one really got me because, it stood out because it was in the early 70s. And I moved here. I came from Michigan to go to high school. And so I came out here in like 1970. Okay. Back then I was still living in Michigan. So I have Michigan stories if you want. But today we're going to talk about Montana serial killers. And let's talk about David Meirhofer. Okay, David Meirhofer, first of all, it was, for what stood out for me is that when his crimes, all right, when David Meirhofer was committing his crimes in the 1970s, okay, the ongoing investigation that the FBI was using at that time, okay, they were refining a method that they had just developed that was like of psychologically profiling criminal offenders. Right. He was the first one that they tried this out on. he would be he was actively being investigated, and they were using that technique of psychologically profiling that person. Okay? Now they use it all the time. And if you think that criminal profiling sounds familiar, or you're right, because the television show Criminal Minds, okay, when they get in the plane and they all fly around and they're all these serial killers and spree killers and stuff, and they figure out, well, it's a white male and he's between 28 and 35, and his mom's like this and he's probably doing that, blah blah blah. Okay, you've seen the show. Okay, this is where the show came from. The show has real events that they put on the TV. That's where they get their scripts. And Meirhofer was David Meirhofer from Bozeman, Montana. Okay, he was the first time that the FBI used criminal profiling like Criminal Minds. Right? I don't know if they had the actual. No, those are actors. Okay, they didn't have those people that are on TV. Okay, now, like I just said, David Meirhofer was born in Bozeman, Montana. Okay, and he confessed to 4 murders in rural Montana before he hung himself in the Gallatin County Jail. All right, now let me run down how that. Well, first of all, Andy, David Meirhofer first came to police attention following the kidnapping of 7-year-old Susan Jaeger. Is that right? Susan Jaeger, 7 years old. She was camping with her family in a tent in the Missouri Headwaters State Park. She disappeared right out of her tent, okay? July 25th, 1973. So I'd be a sophomore that year, okay? So see, I was hearing about this when I moved to Montana, yeah. The weird thing is after the kidnapping, the FBI and Susan's family were getting, there were phone calls demanding ransom, okay? First it was $25,000, then it was $50,000. The family is learning, they're all learning this stuff at the 73. Okay, they didn't have the technology, they didn't have the know-how yet, so they're learning by profiling. Right, between the tapes, the profiling that they did, and the voice matches, the Susan's family were like, yeah, that's the voice that's been calling us. The FBI's listening in on the other phone, and they're like, yep, that's him. So he was. They picked him up. They detained him at the Gallatin County Jail down there in Bozeman. Authorities began the search of his house. Once they got him, they got the voice match. They're like, all right, let's search the house. They found bloodied woman's clothing, washed out blood stains all everywhere. Yeah. They even found a human hand and a bunch of fingers. It says several. Okay, with the research that we were doing, it says several. Can we get a bunch of fingers? Sounds better, doesn't it? Everybody, come on. They found a human hand and a bunch of fingers. Okay, there were several of them. He'd stored them in his refrigerator. Yeah. So when he learned that, hey, they're in your house, they're getting stuff, he confessed to abducting and killing Susan Jaeger. Okay, Jaeger. And, we all knew that. You knew it already, and I only mentioned it 5 minutes ago, or 3 minutes ago, and you already knew. So the FBI knew, we all knew that he killed her. Okay, He also confessed to killing a 19-year-old Sandra Smolgan. She'd gone missing from a basketball game in rural Manhattan, Montana. You know where that's at? I don't know either. I know it's in a rural area. I know that. You know, I've been to Manhattan, New York, but I don't think I've been to Manhattan, Montana. February of 10th of that year that he was arrested, that, you know, she came up missing. Okay. Meirhofer said after killing his victims, he dismembered the bodies, chopped them up, burned them in a fire pit, then sprinkled them where? Lookout Pass. Okay. Now, once he had confessed to those, then the feds were on him. They're like, you know, he said, look, you know, the lawyers and everybody made a deal. And they said, look, you know, if he confesses to two more, well, you take the death penalty off the table. So he confessed to two additional murders. One was the death of a 13-year-old Bernard Pullman, shot to death on a bridge in Three Forks, Montana, March 19th, 1967. That's one of his first ones. That's still back east back then. And then 12-year-old boy shot was Michael Rainey. He was beaten. Yeah, 12-year-old Boy Scout. Yeah, right. 13-year-old Bernard Pullman was shot to death on a bridge. But 12-year-old Boy Scout Michael Rainey was beaten to death also in Three Forks. That was in 1968, May of 68. So he gave the confession. His lawyer said, look, you know, if we confess to two more, will you give us a deal? And they said, well, certainly. So 4 hours after he gave up the next two names, confessed to four, he hung himself in his jail cell with his towel, case closed. Yeah. What more can you do? I mean, he's dead. He confessed to four. They suspect maybe four more. It's what we were seeing this morning, maybe five. Okay? So what do? Right. Now, yeah. So case closed. So, you know, that was real stuck out to me because that was going on right when I came to Montana. You know, 73, I was in high school, and I'm hearing all about this guy over in Three Forks killing people and you know, kids, and it's like, whoa. Yeah, and hanging himself, right. So it's stuck in my mind. So it qualifies as a serial killer if they profiled him and learn to track other serial killers, and they suspect more. Right. Okay, all right, high school, okay. I went to high school with serial killer Wayne Nance, okay? The Missoula Mauler. Wayne Nance is a very well-known serial killer in Missoula and was around doing stuff around the time I was around, okay? I went to high school with him at Sentinel High School in Missoula, Montana. Wayne Nance was a year. He was the class of 1974. I was the class of 1975. He was a year in front of me. So he was a sophomore. I was right. So when he was a senior, I was a junior. No, we knew each other strictly because of my involvement in throwing kegers in high school all the time. Involved in the Kager committee. I've talked about it in other podcasts. That's how I knew him. We were selling pot in high school. I also knew him because one of my bestest, not only was I throwing kegers and selling pot and all that stuff in high school, and I was a stoner in high school, and Wayne Nance, the serial killer, was also a stoner in high school. So we ran in the same schools. We're only in the same circles. We're only a year apart, okay? The other reason I knew him is because one of my bestest buddies in high school, Don Bothman. Don is no longer, Don, we love you, man. I love you and miss you. One of my bestest buddies in high school, Don Bothman, they did not get along, okay? And Don was bigger than Wayne, okay? Don was bigger than me. Don was not bulky big, but he was tall and lanky. Don knew how to fight. So they more than got once into it. Wayne didn't know me. I sold him pot. I talked to him in kegers. We drank beer at kegers. Yeah. Wayne was weird in high school, okay? Even though he was a stoner, he was still weird. Wayne, the Missoula Nance, right? He skipped school a lot. He was what we all did, but he was, he's always hanging around where we were, unconventional or whatever, skip this class, go up to 4Bs or whatever. But he was always talking about devil worshiping. Yeah. Bow, 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 running with the devil. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was talking about devil worshiping all the time. He was even like, he'd get a lighter and heat up paper clips and then brand himself with paper clips. Okay? Like little pentagrams and little devil shit stuff. And he'd come to school with like stuff they'd said he'd used a coat hanger. So he was kind of an odd guy. He fit in with everybody because we were an all odd stoner crowd. But he was odder than most. Not stoner, just odder. The first crime that he was committed or was down to pounds in April 1974. I was a junior. It's West Riverside out in East Missoula. The whole town was talking about it. It was like everyone. Donna was raped, killed. I remember Donna's son, Kenny Pounds. Okay? He was like, they used my dad's gun, and nobody knew where my dad's gun was except Mom, Dad, me, and Wayne. Shot with the family gun, raped with the family gun, left the family gun there. That they knew it was shot with a gun. It's like only 4 people knew where the gun was. Oh, Kenny was living. Kenny was in school. Like, yeah. Kenny went to Hellgate. We all knew Kenny. He was kind of in the crowd too, He was my year. Right. 3 eyewitnesses at the time claimed they saw Wayne at Donna's house, Pound's house, at the time of the murders. Okay. One said they saw him in the backyard garden. Another said they saw him leaving the house with his black gym bag. Okay. Another saw him driving away in his truck. Okay. They all recognized him because Wayne Nance was friends with the family and good friends with Kenny Pounds. Okay. They were thick as thieves. They were always hanging about. He was always at the Pounds house. Okay. When he was questioned about it, he said he skipped school that day to work on a science project, to look for materials somewhere in Montana, in the mountains. How convenient, okay? Police couldn't really refute his claims. They didn't have DNA and they didn't, No, they checked. There was no big science thing going on at Sentinel at the time. How would I know? Do I look like I was with the science crowd? Okay. Once after he graduated, Nance was in the Army. He left town. He was not charged with the Donna Pounds murder. I swear to God, everybody in high school knew that Wayne did it. God, he likes got pentagrams and he's a devil worshiper. Of course he did it. We were all going off. So he said, he's the only one. He wasn't charged in 1974. Once he graduated, he went to the Army. He was discharged in 77 for possession of LSD, marijuana, butterfly knives, and something else. Find that, Andy. Tell me what else. He had something else. Nance went to see in Seattle when 15-year-old Devonna Nelson went missing in July of 1978. February 1980, her body was found off the Interstate 90 in Missoula. Wayne was in Seattle, Washington, like I said, at the time. And then evidence puts them together in Seattle, and then she shows up 2 years later, pretty rough shape, been dead for a while, off Interstate 90 right there in Missoula. Marcella Bachman was found in, she was in advanced state of decomposition in December 1984. Okay? That was in Deer Creek, just outside of Missoula. Okay, a runaway from Vancouver. She was last seen with Wayne Nance when he claimed they were living together. And then she was gone. He said, yeah, she went out of town, and then they find her dead. Okay? In 1985, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We're not going to have time to cover it all. I just got the highlighted ones. 1985, the skeleton of Janet Lucas was found near Crystal Creek. It's over by East Missoula. Okay? Nance had been seen with Janet several times at the Cabin Bar where he worked in East Missoula. Now, I told you that Don and Nance didn't get along. Wayne and Don did not get along. And Don was a rowdy, once we graduated from high school, Don was always getting the one was like rowdy and stuff. So it was nothing for us, me and Don, and a couple other people, get in the car, head out to East Missoula, because Don knew that Wayne Nance was the bouncer at the cabin, and he'd pick fights with Wayne. Win 8 out of 9, 8 out of 10 times. He is despised. Don hated him. But anyway, so all these people are missing there. All these people are being found. You got to remember, Nance lives in East Missoula too. So all these people are being found by the interstate by East Missoula, this place by East Missoula, this place by Riverview. Donna Pounds was killed, Milltown. It's all the same area if you know Missoula. So he was responsible for the 1985 murders of Michael Shook, who was 34, and Teresa, his wife, in Ravalli, just out by Missoula. They were tied up in their home, stabbed to death. Witnesses put Nance at the scene. Finally, September 3rd, Nance attempted to murder Doug Wells and his wife, Christian. After casing the house during a furniture delivery earlier in the day, physical fight continues. Everybody's hurt. Everybody's tied up. The guy gets one bullet in the gun, shoots Nance like in the neck. He dies in the hospital. Just like the other serial killer. Yeah, just like David that hung himself. Now Wayne Nance is like dead in the scene, so we'll never get the story. How many? Jeez. Once Wayne Nance died, they went to his house, did a good search. Trophies from every murder that I mentioned today. Trophies from Donna Pounds all the way on. He had trophies from all of them, plus pictures of the girls, the runaways that were supposedly left. Yeah. Evidence enough evidence to convict if he were to be alive. A list of people on it. We don't know if the list. When all right. When Wayne Nance was murdered, was killed in this last confrontation. When the Wells killed him. Once he died, they went and searched Wayne's house. Trophies from all the victims. I know I'm repeating myself. Pictures and a list. Now, the list is important because Don Boffman and myself were known to Missoula law enforcement for various reasons at the time, okay? Ourselves, if we're getting in bar fights out at the cabin, the cops know who we are. If I'm selling pot in high school, okay. We were contacted by the chief of detectives at the time, Detective Larry Weatherman, was one of the lead detectives in the Wayne Nance, complete from day one all the way to finish. Larry is credited with one of the cracking of the case. Larry got a hold of me. By this time, Don was out of town, but Larry found me, said, the list that we found, there was names on it. And I'm like, yeah. There's you and Don's name were on that list. Dun, 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 dun! Yeah, we're on the list. We're on the list. Dear Hiss is on my list. We're on the list. We're on the list. So he didn't like us. He didn't like Don. He didn't like me. What? No, I wasn't afraid of him. He wasn't that big. Don was a lot bigger than him. Yeah. So, it's like the day in the life of knowing a serial killer. And we knew each other all the way till his death. We knew him from the bars. We knew him from high school. Quite the character. Andy, we're done. We are done. So, remember, spay and neuter. Adopt. Don't shop. Foster. Rescue, volunteer, and hey. Adopt a shelter pet today. Andy, watch out for the pranks tomorrow, everybody. Have a great week. We will see you next Monday.